Morning guys, Lone Wanderer here. Today I'm going to discuss what I've been putting off for quite a few months now, and that's I want to start my bushcraft basic videos on. These are purely for the novices in the field, so the very basics. I mean, people that's been doing the bushcraft for a long time, they can obviously view the video as well. They might even learn something I don't know, or might know something that they didn't know before. But this is purely for the beginners and for the people like me with maybe have a few mental health issues that try to that prevents them from, should we say, learning abilities and trying to comprehend or understand things. Rather than the normal people that do pick it up a lot easier. So I'm going to try and make this as basic as I can. These are going to be a different series, different modules. Number one module is obviously everybody's favourite subject, is going to start knives. Okay, so the first tier in the bushcraft basics module is going to be knives, and we're going to start today by reciting the UK, that's the United Kingdom, laws of carrying and using knives. I don't think I'm going to do this all in one video because it's kind of a complicated subject, and it's probably the most talked about subject in knife groups or bushcraft groups in regards to carrying a bladed article. And we here in the UK probably have the most complicated laws, probably one of the complicated laws in the world. You know, our law system and justice system over here is really complicated. It really is, and trying to get your head around it is a real headache and a ball ache. I was up most of the night last night just checking that the UK knife laws, as I understand it, still exists and is up to date, which it is. Nothing's really changed since the last time I looked at the UK knife law. But to try and explain it to you the basic way, in an uncomplicated way, is going to be quite difficult. So I'm going to try and put it in a way for you guys to understand it, or the way I understand it. Now, the current UK law on a bladed article, or carrying a bladed article, that includes folding knives, fixed blade knives, bushcraft knives, chef knives, basically all knives of that nature. Any blade that is over 3 inches long is a fixed blade, okay, which means that the blade is fixed in one permanent position, okay, is illegal. Okay, so any fixed blade that is over 3 inches long is illegal. Now, before you start jumping on my post and saying yes, but it all depends on this, that and the other, I'll get to that. Okay, so just bear with me, I'll get to that. This is where it gets complicated. Okay, now I was actually having an argument with this guy on one of the groups. I can't remember which group it was. I just happened to come across some of the comments regarding knife laws, and this guy just jumped in the post and saying, yeah, but carrying a folding pocket knife is not illegal in the UK. And let me just clear that up. Yes, it is illegal. Okay, as long as the knife blade itself does not go over 3 inches and the blade does not lock. Okay, so if you've got a pocket knife that has a lock on it, like your typical book knives, book 110 knives, things like that, it is illegal to carry, regardless of it being a pocket knife. It is illegal. It is illegal carry. Okay, not illegal carry, not an EDC. EDC stands for everyday carry, which is a terminology that you'll hear quite a lot on bushcraft groups. So EDC means everyday carry. Okay, but EDC also doesn't necessarily means that it's legal carry. Okay, so EDC stands for everyday carry. So if you carry a fixed blade on your belt, and you carry it every day, that is called an EDC because you carry it every day. It's everyday carry, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's illegal. Okay, so legal, not illegal. So let's just clear that up. Okay. Now, when you buy a knife from a shop, some knife manufacturers, retail places, will state UK legal EDC, which is United Kingdom legal everyday carry. That means it's legal to carry that knife, okay, but within reason. And again, before you start jumping on the post, this is where it starts getting complicated, okay? But I'm just clearing up some common terminology. So EDC means everyday carry, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's legal, okay? So the legal ones to carry in the UK are the ones, or the retail places like Henny Haynes and the TBS, the Bushcraft Store, Springfield, places like that, brand as UK legal EDC. So UK legal everyday carry. So I don't want to repeat myself, but that is the difference. Okay. So any fixed blade is illegal in the UK. Any folding blade with a blade length of over 3 inches and it locks in position, okay, meaning it's a fixed blade, that's illegal. Okay, regardless of what people say, that is the law. Okay, so you can carry a Buck 110 in your pocket. Okay, now Buck 110 is a locking blade, and if you get stopped, yes, you can get arrested. Okay, just depends, but it all depends on what your explanation to the officer and the officer's understanding of it as well, and if he believes you or not. It's down to the officer's discretion. Okay, so but technically that is illegal. Now, when you're looking at legal pocket knives, that is knife blade of usually around 3 or less inches, the blade length 3 inches or less. That is a folding blade, and it does not in any shape or form lock. Okay, so there is no lock that you press to retract the blade. The blade itself, when fully open, does not lock in position. Okay, so as long as you've got a folding pocket knife that is under 3 inches and does not lock in place, that is classed as a UK legal EDC. Okay, so that's my interpretation of it. Okay, I'll just have a sup of tea. Now bear with me, because like I say, this is complicated. I also forgot my cup today, so I've had to drink my tea out of this cap. Right, this is the complicated bit. So if you are carrying, let's say, if your job is a chef and you have your specific knives that you use as a chef in a restaurant, or maybe even a butcher, and obviously all chef knives are illegal. Okay, they tend to be large bladed articles used for slicing, chopping, etc. And most of them are fixed blade knives, so they are illegal to carry. So how does one get away from that? Well, you are carrying the blades from one place to another, so from your house to your place of work destination. Okay, so if you do get stopped by an officer, you have good reason to be carrying those knives. Okay, as long as you can prove it. Say, yeah, these are chef knives, I am a full-time chef, I work at blah de blah, and these are my chef knives. If you want to phone my place of work up, or even follow me, that's entirely up to you, just to prove who I am, and I do actually work as a professional chef or a butcher at a butcher shop, and that's a reasonable explanation of carrying a large blades, and you can probably get away with that, okay, because you've got a good excuse to be carrying them from one place to the other. They're not on your person, they're not on your belt, they're all wrapped in a case of some sort, as chef knives usually are, like a tool roll if you like. And so that is a perfect excuse for carrying one, a perfect example, okay. So however, let's stick to the same story here. You are a chef and you got your chef knives, however the knife that you use is not in a tool roll, it's not in a case, any kind of case, it's not in a tool roll, but instead you've got it on your belt, okay, and a police officer stops you, and you know, how would that look if you was a police officer and you have stopped somebody, presumably you're a chef, or that's what you said to the officer, and you are carrying a large blade but it's actually on your belt? Would the, you know, it would be up to the officer's discretion if he believes you or not, if you are a chef. And if you are a chef, why would you be carrying a knife on your belt? You know, so again, it's your word against the officer and your word against the courts if it ever gets that far, which touch wood, it's not going to. So these are probably just two examples. If you make something obvious or stand out, if somebody reports you for having a blade on your belt, then you can get into a lot of trouble, okay. It's how we come across, it's whatever you say that can be believed. That's what matters. Now, if you start being a bit of a sorry, there's a helicopter flying over by, so you just have to bear with me. So if you're a bit abrupt with the officer or members of the public about why you're carrying it, then yes, that's going to probably get you arrested and thrown in prison for 1,000,000 years. Just joking. But you can see where I'm getting at, okay. So this is where the law comes into its own, where is the person carrying the blade, why is he carrying it, what's he using it for? You know, can they prove without reasonable doubt he's using it for that purpose, okay. So like I said, we have the most complicated knife laws probably in the world, I don't know. So, and even if you've got a UK legal EDC, as I explained at the start of this video, that can be questioned, okay. Let's say you are walking into a pub and you have your UK legal EDC in your pocket, okay, and maybe you get stopped by police, maybe you get stopped by one of the security if it's at night, like one of the bouncers, doormen, and for whatever reason they notice that you've got a folding knife on you, or maybe it's fallen out your pocket, or maybe you get into a fight or something like that, or whatever reason you've got that folding knife on you. You should not be having that folding knife in your pocket in a public area like at a pub, okay. So again, it's another scenario where do you stand with it? Because even though it's a legal carry, you can't suddenly turn around when you're in a pub or bar and say, well, I'm doing nothing wrong, pull this knife out of my pocket, it's totally legal. But then it can be questioned why you have got that knife in your pocket in person in a public place, in a bar, in a pub, club, which you shouldn't be doing in the first place, let's be honest, you know. But even in the supermarket, you know, places like that, you know, it can be questioned, why have you got a folding knife in your pocket in the supermarket? I mean, 9 times out of 10 we'll probably say, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot it was in there because I've just come from a camp, wild camp or bushcraft camp or whatever, you know, and things like that. So that's what I'm saying. As long as you can prove why you've got it, whether it places you work or similar, then although it's questionable, a lot of things that you do say could get you off the hook, or it could get you off the hook if it ever comes to court, or get arrested for carrying a concealed weapon, which is what it's classed as. So I think in the way how we approach the law like this, and how we're using the tool that's going to be used in obviously the world of bushcraft in the woods and the forest and things, and try not to draw too much attention to yourself. So by wearing a sheath knife or bushcraft knife on your belt in the summer months, when you've not got a long coat on or anything like that, in public view, even if you are going wild camping, bushcrafting in a wood, people can see it. Your knife is on your belt. You might be just wearing t-shirt and jeans or bushcraft trousers or whatever, but the fact is, people can see it on your belt, so they can question it. Police can see it on your belt. Police can question it. They can stop you and they can remove it. We've got to be smart. We've got to be thinking outside the box of when we're carrying things like this. And it's very complicated law to understand, and to try and get my head around it last night, to try and update it on the UK law, it's a real headache, and it's a real headache for everybody. So yeah, so I've explained about the UK law, and I explained a little bit about what is the UK legal carry. Now, unfortunately, I've not brought my UK legal folder with me. Me again, to give you an example what a UK legal carry is, but UK legal carry is obviously a blade that doesn't fix in position. It's 3 inches or less, non-locking blade. Okay, that is UK legal carry. But again, do not carry it. Try not to carry it in a public place like pubs, nightclubs, a supermarket shop, that kind of thing. And you might get away with it. So, and we've discussed about if you work as a chef, that is a good excuse to be carrying one from one place to the other, because that is your job. You need your chef's knives to do your job effectively. So again, that can be questioned, but it is a good excuse to be carrying it. So again, if it ever gets to court or whatever, then that is what you can stand by, as long as you're not being an idiot about it and you start being aggressive or swearing at the officer and things like that. Then be polite. Always be polite. That's what I keep saying. If the police or security or even members of the public do stop you for whatever reason, even if it's not about bladed articles, knives, then be polite, guys. I know there's a lot of people that despise police these days because of the way the climate is at the minute. Not a lot of trust is with police, but they're just doing their job, guys. They are stretched thin as it is. Now, as long as you're not being a complete idiot, running around the woods with a Rambo knife with a bandana on, then you should be okay. Now, don't do whatever you do is carry a knife on your belt in public view, in public eye. Okay. Wait until you get to where you're going. Keep the knife in the pack, in the bottom of your pack if need be, away from public eye, away from public view. If you do get stopped for whatever reason, and happen to stop and search you for whatever reason, maybe it's a mistaken identity, maybe people have heard that there's people selling drugs or something like that, so matching your description, they do happen to search you and they say to you, have you got anything that will hurt me, or have you got any sharp objects on you? Don't lie to them. Just say, yeah, I've got a bushcraft knife in my pack, and just be honest with you. because the more you lie, the more you're going to end up in the shit. Okay, so be honest as you can. It's no good if you forget and then you find a bushcraft knife in your pack and just say, what's this? You didn't declare this. So it's better to declare it, guys. So in that way they can say, when I asked him, he did state that he had a bushcraft knife with him, using for bushcraft in the woods, for camping or processing woods, whittling, whatever their interpretation of bushcraft is. And that sounds like a lot better than I'm going to the woods and I'm using that knife for self-defense just in case a gang of youths or a dog walker happens to come into the woods and a dog attacks me or whatever, and I can use it to stab somebody, you know, which is the more believable, you know. So trying to be a little bit smart about it. There's no ways around it. With the UK laws that we've got, unfortunately, it is illegal, and you can even get yourself into a bit of bother carrying UK legal EDC, everyday carry. It's just how you come across, it's just how you are concealing it that matters the most, and where you're carrying it. Another thing is, which is also going to be part of the module, is when the knife laws get even more complicated still, is when you're in a public wood that you've got no permission to be in. Maybe it's a farmer's field, a wood in a farmer's field or something like that, okay? And you're not doing any harm, you're just there for a bit of bushcrafting, maybe a bit of a sneaky stealth camp, and the landowner comes and while you're using your knife, okay, again, I've never really had it happen to me, but I know quite a few people that's had this problem, is where the guy that owns the land has reported a person, A, for being on his land, and B, for carrying a weapon. Now, whether or not we as bushcrafters class this as a weapon or not doesn't matter. To us, a knife, a hatchet, or anything like axes, saws, they are tools. A bushcraft knife is not a weapon to us, it's tools. But they don't know that. As far as they're concerned, you have a knife and it is a weapon, okay, regardless of what we think. So to try and get yourself out of that, into that muddle, is, again, it's questionable. You know, it just depends if your story is believable or not. And it can be scary if you've never done it, if you've never been caught before, if you've been never been caught before with a knife, and then all of a sudden you've got people, landowners, you've got maybe even armed police, if somebody's reported you carrying a weapon in a wood. You know, it has happened. It's not a common thing, but it's not a rare thing either. It has happened. The last thing you want is the police coming in, the armed response police coming into a wood, and they find out you've got a big Bowie knife or something like that on you, you know, and it does happen, unfortunately. So my advice is, I've explained my interpretation of it, of the UK knife laws, and I would highly suggest looking on the UK government website or police website regarding the knife laws and having a look, get your head around it as best you can and understand it the best you can. Learn the ins and outs, learn the do's and don'ts, learn what's a legal carry or what's not a legal carry, learn the up-to-date rules, and then every month go back to the UK government websites and reread it again to make sure that you get an up-to-date version of the current UK knife laws. Now, unfortunately, you know, the crime rate in this country for knife laws apparently is increased by at least 46%. 46% knife-related crimes has increased from like previous years. And so you can see why they're cracking down with people carrying knives and things. Okay, obviously we don't go around stabbing people or anything like that. Our blades are tools, purely tools, but in the eyes of the law, the eyes of the public that don't understand bushcraft, to them it's a weapon. That guy or girl or woman, whatever, is carrying a blade, and you know, it is what it is. There's no getting around it. So if you do happen to go bushcrafting or going into a wood or things of that nature to do obviously your hobby, bushcraft, or even if you're bushcraft instructor or survival instructor, then don't carry a knife on your belt until you get to your destination. Then keep it in your pack and get it out your pack when you reach your destination. Okay, and that way if you do get stopped for whatever reason, you know, it's the knife is tucked away in your pack. It's not on your person, so it's not classed as a concealed weapon on yourself in person, with intent to use it. You know, if 9 times out of 10, if somebody, maybe one of a gang member or something like that, is carrying a knife and he intends to use it or use the knife in a threatening behaviour, he wouldn't be carrying it in his backpack. He'd be carrying it in his pocket or on his belt or something of that nature. Okay, so that can be classed as intent to use it. That is totally different to what we are going to be using it for. Our knife should be tucked away in our pack, away from public view. Okay, and for God's sake, don't carry any knives at all in person. If you've got a UK legal folder and it's got to be 100% UK legal, then by all means put that in your pocket, but try not to go through like supermarkets or go to the pub or things like that. Just carry it from your house, get in your car, or maybe if you're walking it from your house, and then keep it in your pocket until it's out of sight. That's probably the best thing I can say to you in regards to UK knife law. I say it is complicated. I do recommend, if you are a total novice and beginner, to look on the UK website, learn the law, what you can and can't do, what is classed as a UK legal everyday carry, and go from there. I'll catch you in the next video, in the knife series video on the bushcraft basics. So hopefully that's helped you out, and I've tried to make it less complicated as much as I can for you, but it is a very, very complicated subject and there is a lot of questions, but I'd be interested to hear your comments on your version. Maybe you've been caught with a knife, and let me and just tell me how you felt, or you know, how they dealt with you, things like that. But it is a touchy subject, but that's my interpretation of it, so I hope it's helped you out and I gave you some ideas. Now I've got to find my remote and turn it off. And I'll catch you in the next Bushcraft Basics module of knives. Bye for now.